Well, basically there's lots of pieces are going to bolt onto this. Well, not this, that's cardboard, that'll be rubbish. Some of you may recognise this CAD template from the TIG water cooler build. I spent absolutely no time making it, and now I'm going to reuse the same CAD template, but modified slightly. So, what we're going to do is make a centre console. It's got to be a flat panel down the middle, around 75mm, and a panel coming down up to the centre bar, which is offset from the centre. There will also be a return on the other side, so I've just got to make the CAD template, then transfer it onto this sheet, and we're going to do 2 folds to make the upright. Then we're going to make some mounts on that for the steering column, and I might as well start putting some of the wiring pieces in. So we're going to design it, transfer it to the steel, put a couple of folds in it, and go from there. Basically we're going to make a centre console that goes through the middle there. It'll hold the steering column, and chain guards, ignition switch, might even be able to hide the battery behind there. So cue the montage. Alright, that fits pretty good there. So I think the next step, I've got to make sure that I've got the right width for the steering column and all its mounting hardware, because it might need to be narrower or a bit wider. So I'll make the steering column socket, and then we'll make this out of steel. So, next step. The template fits the spot rather nicely, so I don't know how wide the centre is going to be until I've made the bracket on the steering column, because I decided I'm going to make a tilting bracket for it so that it can have the steering wheel anywhere from here to here and still work, because as you saw, it looked like a dog trying to hump a tennis ball with me sitting in here. So we're probably going to have the steering wheel up here like an old tea bucket for me to be able to drive it. So what I'm going to do is make the adjustable bracket. Now if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen the steering snake. Yes, 4 uni joints. So I'll pull this apart, and then I can start modifying this end. I'm going to put a sleeve from here. It's got to come out past this joint, and then there's got to be a pivot point dead center with this uni joint. That's where the pivot's got to be for the steering. If it's not right there, then things will bind up. Uni joints are interesting things. So I'll pull this apart, and then we'll start on this section. Once I've got that made with the mounting points on it, then I'll know how wide to make the centre console. Once the centre console, we know how wide it is, we can put it all together. So, hammer time. I want a piece to cover this section. The best I could find was this piece of 2.5 inch exhaust pipe. So I got to cut my piece, cut it 150 millimeters. That gives me enough room for what I need in there. So I've got this piece of 2.5 now. Now the trick to cutting pipe is using a piece of paper. So I'm going to come down and put my mark at 150. Now the trick with the piece of paper is, as long as you've got one straight edge on the paper, wrap it around. As long as you get the edges to line up, as long as you get the edge to line up perfectly flat around the pipe. So then you just mark on that line. So now if I cut exactly on that line, it'll be a perfect cut without having to have a drop saw. Really handy thing to know sometimes. So that's pretty close to being flat. Alright, so that's going to fit in our dashboard. Alrighty, so going to put that through there. This will require a large hole to be drilled in the bottom. If you want to draw a line on a piece of pipe, then make sure that it's straight along the pipe. The easiest thing to do, piece of angle, put on there, and it will always be dead straight along the pipe. Alrighty, so what I did there was, I know where the centre line for this hole is, so I got the diameter of it and then divided that by 3.142, which is pi, so that then came out to 201 millimeters. So I just went from that centre line, I went 50 millimeters that way and 50 millimeters that way, and that's perfectly horizontal opposed to this hole. So I also measured around and marked on the other side just to make sure that my lines all matched up. So that's how I worked out that bit. This piece has been sitting in the back of the shed for a little while, but it's still made of steel, so it'll work. Alright, so I've transferred it all across. I've added a little bit extra on here. So I'll cut this out now, and then once I've cut it out, then I'll clean off the rust. Cut it out and go from there. Now use these coarse Scotch-Brite wheels to remove the rust. You've got to be careful though that when it's spinning it can't catch an edge. You've got to make sure that it's always spinning off the edge, because if it catches an edge it will just slice through it and destroy the wheel. They're not cheap. There we go. One center console. So we've made our piece. Fits exactly where it's meant to. So I've just got to cut a circle out of the front for this to fit through. I want it to be able to angle up about there somewhere. So just gonna mark where the center of the pivot point is. So in order to get that to actually pivot up, I need to chop that sort of shape into it. So I'll just rough it out and then start taking it back out with the die grinder until I get the right shape. Pretty good fitment now. So have that there. I'm going to drill a hole in each side. So that should go down there and bolt in and then pivot. So what we need now is something to lock it in position. Like a cannon. What we're going to do for the catch is there's going to be a slotted hole with a rod sticking out of it that can then slide. There'll be a spring going from this bolt to the next there, and there'll be a radius with notches in it for the bolt to lock into, so the spring will hold it into the notch. And then I can just choose where I want it to go. So we want it lined up with that. So again, piece of angle. I'm just lining it up with the thread there. There's my marks, so I'll just pick 2 points, drill 2 holes, cut out the bit between. So I've got a slot in there now, find a bolt. Alright, so I've got my bolt, I've ground the top down so I can stick a washer on top. The little slider was a little bit fiddly and, well, so I didn't bother filming it. I'll just rough idea of what it is. It's basically an M8 bolt with 2 bent washers and a nut all welded together. Now that's going to go into there. Now I've got to make a curved piece of metal. It just comes out and up in a radius. Had a radius here somewhere. I've run out of radii. So anyway, it's going to be a piece of metal come out and curve up, and it'll have 3 or 4 slots that come out this way, so that will then have a spring going from the bolt here out to here, and that will hold it into the slot. You want to adjust the steering column, you just pull that bolt out, lift it up to where we want, and let it drop into the next slot. So simple, hopefully effective. Alright, so I've got a few numbers. I will get a piece of steel, start marking it out. Shed Corgi, why are you chasing blowflies again? Did you get him? No, you didn't get him, did you? What? Well, that's in the right position. I just need Need it to stick out a little further. So I might just tack it top and bottom, bend it out a little bit. Let's see how it looks. Just need a spring between here and here, and we've got an adjustable steering column. Ideally, this wouldn't have bearings in it when I go to weld it, but when we press the bearings into this piece, I wasn't planning on doing all this. It was just going to be a simple little weld on the outside to another piece of framework. Then things got a bit fancy, so I've got the bearing block clamped to a piece of aluminium so I can do me quick little welds. I'm only going to do 3 or 4 of them around the outside. That will hopefully dissipate the heat into the aluminium. But I also have compressed air, so once I've done the welds, I'll just blow it down to cool it off as quick as possible so we don't get heat in the bearings themselves, because bearings don't like that. So anyway, see how it goes. That should be good then. Ooh, pretty. I can turn the wheel there, a bit tight, lever, as long as I can get all the steering I need out of going 180 degrees, that should work. I've still got to put a plate on the top to strengthen that up, but I'll have a spring on here, so 4 positions. I've got to put a hole in there somewhere for the steering column to go through. I've got to get a bearing to go on the shaft to mount that solid. Then once I get that, then I can finalise the steering and join the wheel to the rack. Hopefully I can get all the steering I need from 180 degrees, because, yeah. So anyway, the column's going down through there, and the top section here I'll be mounting some of the electricals, like the coil and the relay for the starter, the other bits and pieces. Somewhere I've got to fit a battery. It might be in the back with the fuel tank, because that's always a great idea. So, well, yeah, it's nearly 10 o'clock at night, so I better stop grinding. That's it for this episode. As always, customize everything.